Donegal. Beautiful place. Lots of green, lots of forest, lots of rain. It's pouring right now. I like the rain. Like I say to people, you won't feel the rain when you're dead, so feel it now. Put away those umbrellas and hats. What you doing that for? Just feel the rain and know that you're alive. Like all these little flowers are alive too. You see them, the purple ones? Don't we love purple? Yes, we do. Well, I do. I love purple. Yeah. So, poor old Glen went after Mick. Music was in their hearts. Love was in their souls. You can't have one without the other. Well, you can, but you shouldn't really. You'll do better. Yeah, my goodness. They were both lucky in that they both went quick. Mick fell down the stairs. Glen came off his motorbike. Boom, instant death. No long drawn out hospitals for years or months or any of that stuff. Bang, they were gone. Makes me sad, really, but that's how it goes, isn't it? Yeah, that's how it goes. So we have to appreciate what was given, what he showed us. Glen, for me, showed me that I was right and that he was very right in being kind. I was always very kind above others might be, and I was always kind of a bit laughed at for that reason by my peer group, except Glen and Mick did not have such feelings towards me because they were kind people. I knew Glen from the shows, of course, and Mick, but it was all of, and we did a lot of daytime hanging out across parks and gardens. In the 90s, when I was free and easy, I was 15 years old when I came to Dublin in 1990. And Glen had just started the Frames at the same time. And Mick was going with Glen, and they were the scene. Yeah, when there was a scene. Is there a scene anymore? I don't know. There must be somewhere. But there's a big gap here now for Glen to be filled. Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? I think a lot of people going to do that. But don't just try to copy Glen. Be yourself. Be you. Do your thing. That's what made Glen so great and Mick so great. They did their thing. Do your thing. Do your thing. Those people might not like it, but those people might like it. So don't be afraid. Do your thing. Yeah. Not so much drinking, really, in those days, no. Bit of weed. Maybe a beer, 2 beers, that'd be it. Like, it was not heavy drinking scene. It was a lot of discussion, philosophy, an appreciation of the everyday. Every day is simple. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be successful. Just to be happy and be kind. And you'll be happier when you're kinder. You find that. It will happen. It will happen. In unexpected ways. Yeah, Donegal is good. Could really get lost out here. And I like getting lost. I like being far from people. Yeah, I do. I like that. Am I a hermit? Am I a recluse? Meh. Almost, I would say. Yeah. Why not? Whatever you want to call it. People tend not to understand me. And it's hard to find my people. I don't know many of my people anymore. I remember one concert very well of Glen and the Frames, and it was in the Tivoli Theatre, I think. Yeah, the Tivoli, on Francis Street. Not a very frequented street, really much, but anyway, yeah, it was on part of the scene. Yeah, so Glen was playing New Year's Eve Frames, and it was my job that night to write out, with marker on A4 pages, the track listing that they were going to play, and I had to fix all of these to all of the the speakers coming back to the stage so they could see, all the band could see what they were playing. So I did that, and that wasn't very hard. The place was packed, it was thronging. It was a great, super performance. It was really, really brilliant. I can't remember who else played. I remember I was sitting next to Brona Gallagher backstage, I think after the show. Passed her one of these. And then later on, yeah, never mind. It was a great night. It was a great night. All of the guys in the Frames were so nice. I didn't really know them so much, but they knew me back then. They wouldn't remember me now, I'm sure. One went on to make great movies, which is like, they were so artistic. It was such an artistic time. It was burgeoning, and creative people drew together, found each other, and were good and kind to each other, and made great art at the time. So yeah, is that still happening? Is it really still happening? I see everybody using their screens, their devices for everything these days. Not so good. If I could remember my songs, I would sing them now for you, but I don't remember them. I had a notebook where I wrote everything down, all my songs. I would say I've got 30 songs written that I want to put out there. I've been looking for people to play some kind of accompanying with me, but I can't find anybody. No, can't find anyone. Everyone's too busy with their screens and their phones and their devices and all that kind of stuff. It's taken over. Where do people have free time anymore to be bored so that inspiration can come and strike you? Where is that boredom? You need boredom. If you're not bored, you're not creating. You can't create without boredom. Like, yeah, it's true. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand? Yeah. I hope you understand. Slow it down. Step back. Take everything in. Not everything needs an answer immediately. Some things you just should let sit with you. Let them germinate. They might die, and they might flourish. The only way to know is to try. If you don't try, you won't get anywhere. Ain't that it? And sometimes you're on your own when you're trying. I know these very well, being on my own when I'm trying. I remember trying things actually at a similar time to when I was hanging out with Glen, a few years into that period. Yeah, when I just finished school, because I was still in school when I met Glen. And yeah, then I finished school and I came out doing my thing, which all of that crew were aware that I was into, but nobody knew what it was back then. That was the time when I came up with, never mind me, it's about Glen and Mick and all of the great musicians, Sinead, Dolores, there's so many more to name, I'm not going to even try and name them. We have great musicians and great songwriters in this country, we really do. And that needs to be cultivated some more, a little more love and attention given to that whole scene that we used to be so good at back then. Did you see my really bad teeth? No, probably not. I've been concealing a bit my lips. I think when I talk these days, I notice I hear myself when I talk, and I'm a little bit different. But my teeth are in rag order. Always were since I was a child. When I was about 4 years old, could have been 3, could have been 5. I think it was 4. I can vividly remember getting driven to the local country hospital to see the dentist. And I remember lying up on the, what do you call it? The thing you lie down on to have the person do their work on you. The gurney, is it? The table. And you put the mask on my face. And I can still see the bright white ceiling above my head. And the bright walls, very high ceiling. And he said, count backwards from 100. And I got about as far as 97. And I was out. And when I woke up, I had no teeth. All of my teeth had been removed. I was angry. No teeth, I was angry. Didn't feel good, didn't feel right. Felt not me when I had no teeth. And that was the day I got my, driving back from the hospital several hours later, we stopped and my tears and anger were overcome when my dad bought me the Evel Knievel stunt cycle. You know, the motorbike and the figure on the back of the bike, you can put him on and off, and you've got the thing to wind up, and vroom, the motorbike takes off. That helped me greatly to overcome my losing all my teeth. But that was just the beginning of my teeth saga. I have seen so many dentists, had so much work done. Before I was even 10 years old, all my teeth were multiple fillings and never really any extractions, but multiple fillings, more filling than tooth in my mouth for most of my life. And now they've gone real bad. I got hit in the face with a metal bar by my own doing. Nobody else involved. Me, I made myself in the face like this. A metal bar, smashed. More teeth. So now have a look. This is real bad. Huh? Ugly. Mikey Rotten. Mikey cigar is rotten. Mikey Rotten cigar. Yeah. But pretty is inside. Pretty isn't on the outside. Pretty's on the inside. It don't matter what you look like. I know people, you would turn away from them, they're so ugly, but they're the most beautiful people. It's always on the outside, it's always on the inside. Inside, outside, not the same. Just because something smells really nice doesn't mean it's going to taste really nice. I know this. Yeah. Also, from being here in Donegal and having my socks and shoes soaked so many times in just one day, I now realize, looking at old photographs of local people that used to live here, no shoes, no socks, barefoot. Yeah, I get that. It may come to that before this day is out, that I too will be barefoot in Donegal to avoid all of this wetness and having to remove it instead of just wiping it off. I passed by yesterday on the street in some local town when we were going to try get some food for dinner. Everywhere was booked out. It's a bank holiday weekend here. It's full of tourists, so many Americans. And I passed by two, I think there were German speakers anyway, boyfriend, girlfriend on the bridge in the light drizzle yesterday evening as we were walking across the bridge to our restaurant to make the order. And they were standing on the bridge. They're speaking German. And she had her phone in her hand looking at stuff. And I could kind of tell that they were looking for someplace to go and eat. So anyway, we went to the restaurant, made our order. Then we went to a supermarket, came back to the restaurant, collected our order, walking back over the bridge. And this couple were still on the bridge, looking even more unhappy. And I got it. I know that they were looking for somewhere to go eat, and we had the same problem too. Yeah. So I hope they found something. if they had a car, you see, they could drive to the edge of town, and there's lots of takeaway type things and pizza joints and stuff around. But in the center of the town, everywhere's full. So the lady who we got our takeout from said, I said to her, we may come back here again. We're staying for a few days. And she said, you need to book. You need to book. And I thought, yeah, we need to book. So we will book if we're going to go. Maybe we're going to drive to another town. There's 20 kilometers away, 15 miles or so. There's another town which should be full of like entertainment facilities and restaurants and things like that. It's a big tourist town. It's called Bundoran. You could retire here, like, if you didn't want to be involved or interacting in society so much, yeah, this is a good place to go. You can really if you want to write a book, you want to do a series of paintings or sculptures or whatever the heck, you want to do something personal that you don't need reliance on other people, this is a great place to come and do it. Okay, let's see if I can remember any songs. Don't You Know? And some of these songs, I've only got the chorus going down on them. The lyrics are wide and varied. So Don't You Know? Don't you know, I don't you know. So when somebody says to you, don't you know? And you're like, I don't. So they say, don't you know? And you say, I don't you know. Don't you know, I don't you know. I don't you know, I don't you know. La 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 la. Keeps going like that. That's one of the first ones I came up with. Yeah. My mind's blank. Nothing to do with smoking or anything, but my mind is blank and empty here. And I like that a lot. Whoops. Banging into old stuff that's left out here behind where I'm standing. This is like, this is the tennis court. So this is like some old buildings do with tennis courts where old furniture is left behind it. Yeah, Donegal space. Tennis was about the only game that I played as a child. I never played team sports. I was not into them. I don't watch them. I never participated in team sports, no. I don't like people. You can't really rely on them. This is the truth, which by experience over life I have learned is absolutely true. So individual sports like tennis suit me down to the ground. It's all on me. Win or lose, it's all on me. Of course, you could be playing somebody really bad, in which case I don't count that much as a win. That's not a win. I'm quite strict on myself with general life things, primarily kindness. Like, can't say enough about that. Might cost you time, might cost you money, who knows, but believe me, the investment is worth it in the long term when you are in a place where you need to find yourself and you reflect on who you are. Are you the person you want to be? I'm the person I want to be, I know that, but it wasn't easy to become this person. No, it took a lot of standing up against the ties that I didn't want to participate in. And you take a lot of knocks. You take a lot of scarring. And then I have the scarring on my brain with my multiple sclerosis, of course. So scars are part of my life. This is the first scar I ever got on my wrist. When I was about 3 years old, I got that scar. You see it? It's very small. But I was playing with Britvic orange bottles, 1970s style. And I dropped them, and they smashed on the ground. And my mom had some of her friends in the house, and they heard the bottles smashing, and somebody came to get me. And there I was, a bit frightened, having broken all the glass. But I was fine otherwise. So they picked up the glass and I came in, I sat with them on the sofa. And then one of them said, "Oh, look, there's blood trickling from your wrist." And there was. So I was hustled into the car, driven out to the GP, and I got stitches. Yeah, and I can remember those stitches going in. I can remember the feeling of those stitches. I remember it felt like somebody took a nail brush for cleaning your nails with, and that they were scrubbing my wrist with a nail brush. That's what it felt like. I remember that vividly. That was a good doctor, and I ended up where I live now in Dublin. My neighbour across the road from me was the son of this doctor, which I thought was like, more small country, small world. And he has since died. He was about my age, and he died in the meantime. His dad lived a long life. Dr. Dick, yeah, famous doctor in the neighbourhood. The last time I was in Donegal, I would have been 15 years old, coincidentally with when I would have met Glen and things. I came with my brother for a week. We were camping pretty much, although we stayed in a couple of B&Bs. We went camping one night on a beach, but we had to go once the tide started coming in. We didn't know the tide was coming in, but it was. So that was the end of our camping, and we moved indoor from then to some cold houses and stuff. But there was a roof over the head, and the wind and rain and the sea wasn't going to get us. So that was okay. It was an interesting trip. I remember I bought a pipe, those old-fashioned Irish pipes to smoke. Pipe, like, yeah, okay. Beautiful place, beautiful country. It is inspirational musically and lyrically. I would say as much lyrically as musically it is inspirational here. Perhaps more lyrically. For me, the lyrics always come before the music when I'm writing songs, because I'm not a musician. I don't play any instruments at all. I did attempt guitar lessons when I was about 10 years old, but I didn't like the teacher very much, and I gave up on those lessons. And then, you see, my growing up was very disjointed. I've often looked at people like Tom Cruise, and he was also had a very disjointed growing up, moving, new school, new house, new town, and that was me too. I lived in many towns, and I had like 10 schools, so many groups of people I met. I'd float in for a year, I'd be with them, maybe for 2 years or 3 years I'd be with them, or 6 months or a month, or 3 months. 4 months actually was the shortest I stayed in any school. And yeah, so the team sports thing comes in there, there was no opportunity for me to really get involved, because most of that time I wasn't fixed living in a location. I was living in one location Monday to Friday, and then weekends I was living in another location. It was just like that, and it was not a standard usual upbringing, but it made me who I am. It made me fearless. I'm not afraid of anyone or anything. I remember one time a guy who I'd never met before showed up in a house, and it was just me and a girl who he reckoned was his girlfriend. And he showed up in the kitchen with a gun, and asked me when I was leaving. And I said, I'm going to finish my cup of tea here, and I'm going home to my bed. Sip, sip. Didn't bother me. The gun thing. Guns just don't frighten me. So I did that and left. He left too. He was actually apparently, although you don't know, these people tell stories, but apparently he was an IRA terrorist who had just arrived off a boat that night, back into the country for whatever his nefarious business was, who knows. But yeah, so he had a gun with him, which he presented, but it did not bother me at all. It didn't faze me. Now, that's not to say that when I got outside and back into my car, it was like maybe 4 a.m. It was about 3:30. This guy rang the doorbell. About 4 a.m. then, I would have been back in my car heading home, as I said I would be. And oh yeah, I felt the adrenaline then. I had the rush. It was a tense situation. But tense situations, just let them walk on by. Let them pass you. You know, bar fights. I remember a bar fight I was present for, and I remember these guys, suddenly a whole lot of hustle started behind me, and everybody jumped off their seats and stuff. And I just sat there, you know. I didn't move because it's nothing to do with me at all. Of course I was looking, being alert, but nothing to do with me. It's happening over there. So I'm not going to get off my seat. I'm not getting involved. I won't get involved in this shit. Okay, I gotta go because even though I'm in Donegal, I've got things to do. I want to go and buy waterproof shoes today because the shoes I brought with me are not suitable for all of this area that I'm in. I'm hoping to get my teeth fixed before the end of this year. Big job. Goddamn metal bar sitting you in the face is not a good thing for anyone. Have a great day.